I was not technical, okay? I was a poet. I was a lyricist. I was gonna be the Don Draper, like in my mind. Like I loved words and I loved writing and never was technical at all. But I took a class my first semester that taught me how to do HTML. And I met this professor, Cindy Royal. We're still friends today. She was really a big influence on me in my sort of getting into this field. And I took her web development class and started learning about digital media. And at the time, this was a long time ago, so like I had to build a website in Flash. And like I learned all these things, and I suddenly felt really empowered as someone who always thought like that. I always thought my brain doesn't work that way. That's not me.
Hey everybody, it's Roger with Kinsta. I'm here today joined by a new friend, Taylor. Hey Taylor, how are you?
Good, Roger. Good to see you.
It's great to see you too. You know, we met at a conference a couple of months ago. I can't believe it's already been this long, but time flies. We're both having fun. We got to know each other just a little bit there, but I always like to start these conversations off with learning more about you and how did you get into doing digital marketing and technology?
Good question. So and first off, I want to tell you something, Roger. So that sweatshirt you're wearing,
Yes.
we met at this conference, and you were giving away sweatshirts at the very end. You're like, please, like I don't want to fly home with this.
Yes.
I've been wearing that sweatshirt almost every day because it's like perfect. It's very comfortable. It fits great. I've been wearing the Kinsta sweatshirt like all around, and I've been meaning to tell you that.
Awesome.
So
awesome.
It's a good one. I didn't wear it today because I felt like I had to represent my purple on the podcast. But,
no, and also it might look a little awkward if we're both wearing the same sweatshirt or
exactly.
something.
Yeah, it could be weird. So
That's awesome. That's awesome.
I fell into digital marketing because I was working in the music industry fresh out of college and always wanted to work in that industry. And then I also, once I started working in that industry, I realized it's like 1 in a million who makes or breaks it, and I don't want to struggle to pay rent my whole life. And so I went back to school and started and got a graduate degree in mass communication. And I never thought I was not technical, okay? I was a poet. I was a lyricist. I was gonna be the Don Draper, like in my mind. Like I loved words and I loved writing. And never was technical at all. But I took a class my first semester that taught me how to do HTML. And I met this professor, Cindy Royal. We're still friends today. She was really a big influence on me in my sort of getting into this field. And I took her web development class and started learning about digital media. And at the time, this was a long time ago, so like I had to build a website in Flash. And like I learned all these things, and I suddenly felt really empowered as someone who always thought like that. I always thought my brain doesn't work that way. That's not me. And even though I had people in my life who were telling me, you should like learn these technical skills, you should learn how to build a website, I was like, no. So I did. And then I kind of felt really empowered. And I thought, wow, like if I figured this out, there's maybe a lot more I can do with this. And long story short, that professor, Dr. Royal, actually helped me get my first job at a graduate school working at a SaaS company in Austin, Texas. And I started putting those skills to work, building email campaigns and microsites and websites. And, it all started there.
Awesome. Awesome. All right, let's back up a little bit. Some stuff to unpack. Music industry. Tell me more about what were you doing in the music industry? You're a singer, songwriter? What's the deal?
Well, I was a singer, and I really liked writing songs, but mostly lyrics. I've never really been good at playing much of anything, but loved to sing and loved the words. And I was actually but I wasn't doing a lot with singing. I kind of decided to go more into the business side of things, and I was working for a singer-songwriter in Austin who was sort of like in the country, like Texas scene. Bruce Robinson had opened up a recording studio. So I I was like 21 and went and worked for him and helped him sort of like just run the operations, the day-to-day of his recording studio. But it was kind of fun because I would go out on the road with the band, like when, they had like lots of little gigs all around Texas and stuff like that. And I would go and I would like be the person that like did sort of like the road management. So, it was anything from like collecting the money at the end of the night to like selling t-shirts and just sort
Sure.
of making sure the whole band showed up and
Yeah.
like everything was running on time.
So I'm sensing there's a lot of crossover here from you basically learning how to run the operation, run the business. And now when you jump into doing digital marketing for companies, in essence, you're almost doing a similar thing. Would you agree?
Yeah. Yeah, it was kind of interesting because I was really young then and I had no idea what I was doing, really, Roger. But I was sort of thrown into this job. And then, they started asking me to do things because it's a small business. And the girl before me worked at an accounting firm that worked with them. And she was like, I do all the day to day accounting. And I was like, well, okay. I was like, I got an English degree and like I'm a musician, but I maybe can learn this. And so I really did start to learn very early on a lot about just like accounting and like small business operations that I was not expecting. And then you take that into what I do now, and it's funny because I think I put it all together and I'm like, well, I actually did start doing small business operations like a long, long time ago for somebody else's small business. And then I started mine and I didn't even realize I had like that foundation, but I really sort of did. And then when it comes to the world of digital marketing, there's so much that you have to piece together in terms of like operations for people. So like it's not just, crafting a beautiful email, but it all connects at the end of the day to like, your email marketing, your social media, your, display ads, whatever it is you're doing to drive traffic to your business and drive customer loyalty. All of that connects to all of the other operational things of the business because like it helps make the business get the revenue to then run, to operate, to then do all the things like staffing and payroll and everything under the sun that comes along with it.
Absolutely. I think getting sales and marketing experience, no matter what you do for a company, is so essential because now you understand how the sausage gets made, right? Like, hey,
Yeah.
how do we keep the lights on? Yeah, well, we have to sell
Yeah.
stuff. All right, so fast forwarding a little bit, you do this excellent class. I have a similar story. I had a humanities degree, and I had this one class, Humanities and Electronic Media, and
Mm.
it was a crazy reading list. It went from like New Atlantis to Frankenstein to Neuromancer. And then we built a website in the middle of the class. And, it was all HTML, Pico, like, oh my
Yeah.
gosh. So we have a very similar story there. When did WordPress fall into your worldview?
Not until a little bit later, actually. I want to say, I don't know, because you know what? I guess when I started that job out of college a little bit, mostly because clients would have WordPress websites that we would often have to integrate with.
Okay,
But I wasn't like regularly developing on WordPress until probably much later because for a long time I stayed at that company for a long time and I was developing like on that platform and in that ecosystem. And
sure,
then a lot of times integrating into WordPress, but I would say more like 2015, 2016. I
sure.
probably started working in it more regularly myself. And now that's the majority of what we do at our agency in terms of like helping clients with their websites because most people are either already on WordPress or WordPress is easy enough for them to figure out. So it's like, sure, let's do that. So,
Absolutely. That was what turned it on to me was the ability to give my clients a login and they
yeah.
could now do stuff. In the pre-show, we were talking about you have a great LinkedIn presence. You had a great post earlier today or yesterday about your LinkedIn profile and optimizing it. And so I wanted to get a little bit inside baseball and talk about your approach to working with clients and your approach in general to working with LinkedIn and blogging and getting people to like show their voice.
Yeah.
We talked about how this is a challenge. How do you work with clients to get them to get over the hump and get comfortable with themselves?
It's totally a challenge. Absolutely a challenge. And I get it because it's hard. It's hard to put yourself out there on a platform like LinkedIn. I've been doing it for, I would say, consistently. I started thinking about brand building on LinkedIn in about 2016. And
Okay.
I just started trying things and like just sort of honestly like making dumb videos and saying random thoughts on my mind about business.
Yeah.
But I think LinkedIn is really important if you're in a sales, marketing, or leadership role, if you're especially if you're in B2B. So I think a tool like LinkedIn has, for a long time kind of been thought about as just a place I go to say like I'm either open to work or I'm looking for a job. But it's really like it's a social network just like any other social network. It's the B2B social network. So if you're selling B2B, if you're marketing to B2B, it is really important, I think, to help build a personal brand alongside of your company brand because people connect with people and they're going to buy from people that they trust. So if you can be consistently putting valuable, helpful content on LinkedIn that helps your target audience, so your ideal customer profile, then I think, and you do that consistently, like you're going to win and you're going to start building a business where people come to you as opposed to feeling like you're chasing all of the leads. A lot of times we work with like founders who are, or executives who we're kind of telling them like we should do LinkedIn for you. We do LinkedIn for your company page, but we should do LinkedIn for you. And that's the thing where a lot of times people will say, oh, yeah, that sounds great. And then we start doing it, some people, and then they start feeling like, oh, like I don't want to put myself out there. And I'm like, sometimes I'm literally like, you're the CEO. Like, you have to. Like, I'm sorry, like it's part of your job description in 2025. But it can be really hard. What I say to people is like, let's start small, baby steps. You don't have to go be this huge influencer on LinkedIn all of a sudden, but start doing some things and share some thoughtful points of view that you have that will just literally help to build trust around you and your team and your brand. It all sort of works together, and start with one post a week, or if that's too much, start with simply going there to engage on other people's posts, comment. Start with a thumbs up if that's literally like we're starting from zero, and comment and engage. You can get a lot out of building trust and authority too, simply just by engaging on LinkedIn. It doesn't have to be all about like self promotion all the time. Like, I don't advocate for that.
Absolutely. I think you hit a great point there. And it's one thing that about a year ago, I really started diving into LinkedIn. And one of the first things I found was Alex Boyd. I don't know if you follow him at all, but he's got a product called Aware. And it's about managing your LinkedIn profile. And sure, you can post and schedule your posts, and that's great. But that's like this much of what the app does. The rest of it is all about engagement. And you hit the nail on the head. It's all about commenting on people's posts. And I can tell you that every time I get one comment on my post, like fireworks, like, I'm like, oh my gosh, somebody left a comment, and even if it's just like, this is great, you're like, this is amazing.
Someone cared to read it. Yeah.
Exactly. So, all right, this is awesome, Taylor. This has been a great conversation. We're getting close to the end, though, and so I like to keep them short and sweet. I want to have this conversation. I want to keep these going, though. Will you be back on and talk with me more about your amazing expertise?
Yeah. Awesome. I'd love to.
Excellent. All right. So, if people are interested in contacting you, hiring you, giving you money, what is the best way for them to reach out?
Awesome. You can find myself and my team online at creativeshizzle.com. Yes, that is SHIZZLE. You can find us we're on LinkedIn, Creative Shizzle, Instagram, Creative Shizzle. We do most of our social on those channels. And then if you want to find me, Taylor Wilson, I do a lot on LinkedIn. So you can also follow along with what I put alongside of what our company does. But yeah, would love to chat with anybody who needs a little bit of an extra boost in their creative and marketing.
I love it. And I got to close by just saying faux shizzle.
That's literally one of our pricing plans, Pro for Shizzle. I literally have one of our plans is called that. So I agree.
I dig it. I dig it. All right, Taylor, it's great talking to you. I will talk to you again soon.
Sounds great. Thanks, Roger.